Hello.
Thank you very much, Quickshot. Hello, Caps. Congrats on making it to the grand finals at last.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
What a series it's been. I mean, from the first one you lose to the second one you win against Mad, it didn't seem easy. What's your take on the series you had?
Well, I think the series like obviously a lot better than last series. I felt like last series we were just kind of fighting Matt, and we didn't really know exactly what to expect from them. I think we didn't really feel like we were super prepared for playoffs, because we obviously usually we have like a longer time to prepare, but that between regular season and playoffs. But this time that was only like 1 week. I think now that we had a few more weeks, we are a lot more confident in our own play, and I think it showed today. I think the games were very good for us from us. But obviously we still have to to take it one more step tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, getting Seri for 2 teams in the same week must be hard, and I think it's the first time you have to do it. So talk me through the process of getting ready for both Mad Lions and potentially Fnatic tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, it's for sure not super easy to prepare for 2 teams at the same time. But we have tried it before. Like last time we tried it was actually like at MSI, when we were playing against both SKT and Team Liquid, like right after each other. And back then it went really well. So I'm hoping that it can even help us. Maybe we're like more in shape for tomorrow.
Yeah.
But either way, I think even if like they have an advantage of like being able to know what we're gonna do, we also have a time to adapt before tomorrow. And also, it's a long series, and we are gonna bring all our energy. We're gonna bring all our fire, and we're just gonna try to burn them, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's the finals. We want to have the best fight for the 2 best teams in EU, and we had some pauses today, and I'm wondering, playing at home already is complicated for you guys, because Perk talked about it, the fact that you were more comfortable on stage. So playing at home through these pauses, do you think it impacted the games you had today?
I mean, for sure, like pauses have never really been that nice. Like there's people don't know, but there's like a lot more pauses as well in like scrims and stuff like that. And it's always been like one of our weaknesses, I guess, in that we're not that good at recovering from pauses. But I think so. I was really happy that we ended up recovering, especially after like game 3 with like the chrono break and everything. Game four, yeah, with the chrono break and everything.
Yeah.
We were still strong afterwards, and I'm just happy that we could show up even if it wasn't the optimal situation, right?
And now focusing on finals, Battle of the Kings, as we hear all the time. But you'll face Fnatic. Last time you faced them in a best of 5 series, you were still playing mid lane. Now you'll get to face your ex-teammate Reckless on the bot lane during a series. Is it special for you?
For sure, yeah. I mean, I think last year playing against Fnatic was always like really crazy, especially in like the best of 5s. I think this time around, going to the final, also like laning against Reckless and Hylissang, who I've played for so long with, it's going to be a weird feeling. But I just hope that we can show up and prove why we're the best team in Europe. I think we had a really good regular season. We had like a slump playing against Mad Lions. But other than that, Origin was a pretty good series. The series was also pretty good today. And I hope we can just take down Fnatic and prepare for the next challenge to come.
From what you've seen from the team and the way you've played lately, do you think it's going to be a close game? Hopefully it is. I mean, for the
yeah, I mean, probably it will be a close series. I'm not really sure. I think it's hard to judge how we're going to play against Fnatic on stage. I mean, it's not really stage, but it's always a bit different against Fnatic than other teams. A lot of teams usually play like kind of similar in scrims and stage, but Fnatic feels like they are like us, where they play better on stage than in scrims. So it's probably gonna be like they're for sure gonna fight us, but we're just gonna try our best to like not give them any chance of making comebacks, not giving them any chance of getting a lead, and just see if we can get a quick win.
There's one last thing I want to mention before I send it over to PGL and Sharks. You received some critique lately about the way you play and the fact that people thought that maybe you were not up for the task, but obviously you proved them wrong since then. And you got players of the series here. I mean, it's the second time, I think. So what's your take on that? Are you happy to prove people wrong?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, it's nice winning. It was not that nice when we lost to Matt, but we still have like a really important match tomorrow. So it's like all my eyes are kind of going on that. I think, I think I still have like a lot of flaws, I guess, as an AD carry. I feel like I'm a bit of a different AD carry than most other AD carries. Like I'm fighting a lot. If the fights go well, then we win the games, I guess. And also here I guess I got MVP. And if we don't win the fights, then I will usually end up with like a lot of deaths, 0-9 Aphelios and stuff like that. So it's just like a different style, I guess, than most other AD carries, but it's working out so far, I would say, and hopefully it will work out some more.
And congrats to enjoying the life of an AD carry. If you shine, you're the best. If you don't, you're the worst. So yeah, I guess that's it. But yeah, nonetheless, congrats once again for winning this series, guys, and good luck against Fnatic tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
And back to you, Shox, for PGL.
You're muted, Shox.
Oh man, that's the first time it happens to me. Now I know what it feels like. But basically, I was becoming everyone's PGL, so welcome.
Okay.
It's a pleasure to be here with you both.
Wait. Can we get into how Mickey is getting robbed every single time?
Oh.
So robbed!
So robbed! Oh. Okay, that's all I had to say.
That's fine. I think we'll talk more about Mickey and kind of how everyone did it in general. I know we've been a bit silly in the past hour. Of course, there was a lot going on with the technical pauses and whatnot, but I'm going to try and focus it in for this post-game segment, because I think as the series wrapped up, we now have our result of our semifinal and we know our final, so we need to come down to earth just a little bit. In the end, it's a 3-1 G2 to the Mad Lions. This is also what you two had predicted. So how much of what you saw today was as you expected it?
I think a lot of it went to expectations from my perspective. I think a lot of what Frosk and I talked about at the very beginning of the day was a focus on Shadow, a focus in the mid lane matchup, things like mid jungle prio. And the bot lanes especially, I think we got to see some highlights from especially both supports. I think the big thing we didn't talk about was the top lane disparity. I know it was something that Frost did mention, and that was the main reason why she thought that G2 would be able to win in the day over Mad, was because G2 can play through 3 lanes versus Mad primarily playing through 2. But it wasn't even that G2 tried to play through Wonder. He was honestly just styling on Arome pretty much for the entire series.
Yeah, and it's just the fact that G2 are a trident team. I mean, it's kind of like hardware to dive into this, because it felt like, and Grabs put out the tweet, he was like, we had 2 clean games today, hopefully we get 3 clean games tomorrow, and I kind of hope the same thing, because when G2 look clean, you're reminded why they are the big bad final boss of the LEC, why they must be respected. But when things go a little bit silly, a little bit sideways, maybe they lose a little bit of focus, then suddenly you're reminded, G2 can bleed and teams can crack them open. So it's like, you got 2 different looks. You're hoping that for a final that you're always going to see 2 teams play their best, but you have to play the situation that's put in front of you. And, I've seen finals where that hasn't been the case, and that's often why we get like 3-0 smash finals when you're international or you're domestic.
And that's why it's so hard for me to kind of discern what we have seen, because there were times throughout this best of 5, especially in the first 2 games, where I thought, okay, G2 has found the way again. They had that enormous snowball with the Vayne bot in the first one. Then they picked a scaling composition for game 2 and closed that out cleanly. Then they lost game 3, and then game 4 is just where I'm at a complete loss. And I think maybe it's best for us if we don't, I don't know.
I almost think you have to throw game 4 out. Like, I understand what you're saying, Shox, and I'm almost in agreement that there's really not anything you can take from this. I think if maybe you wanted to try to grab something analytically from game 4, it's the fact that G2 keeps showing this this play from their playbook where they pick a hard winning bot lane, and that Jankos paths in a way that they start immediately shoving, and Jankos goes for a dive, or they technically threaten the dive, and if you stay they will dive you, but what I think they're trying to do is actually just zone you off of the tower and hard snowball bot lane. And like, that's something that G2 have consistently done, not just against the Mad Lions, but also in the regular split. But outside that, I don't think that there's anything you can really take from game 4.
My opinion is that Mad showcased in game 4 their ability to be flexible, and unfortunately for them, the game was going to snowball off of a single misplay from Kaiser at level 2. And because they recognized that, because they recognized they can't just go bot and keep 2v2ing, they adapted. And we saw them constantly trying to fight, trying to skirmish, going toe-to-toe, and it was kind of a losing game at that point, but they still found ways to stay relevant and impactful. And you could see that after each fight, the gold gap was just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But I have so much respect to Mad Lions for going out the way they wanted to. They didn't just bleed out. It wasn't that they lost that 2v2 bot lane and then, the game just slowly lost. No, they fought for their lives. They fought for every opportunity that they could. And my takeaway for Mad is that they still have so much more room to grow. They have so much talent already, and we got to see so much of that over the last 3 weeks, and I'm excited to see them back next split. And while Game 4 was definitely not the cleanest, they were able to go toe-to-toe with one of the best teams that Europe has ever produced, and that only goes to show what more they're capable of. So, mad props to Mad Lions. They were very exciting to watch, and I think they're going to be a strong contender next split.
Oh, Verius. I love you. You said that perfectly, and I thought you were going to stop, so I tried to go in, and then you said something else that was great. And I think you kind of summed up, I think, the sentiment that most people should have around Mad Lions and the excitement for the future. However, I'm sure they don't feel that way in this particular moment. So to get a bit of insight into how they are feeling after that match, Laura is standing by with Carzzy.
Thanks again, Shax, and thank you, Carzzy, for joining me after the series.
Hello.
I'm sorry things didn't go your way again against G2, but I do hope you're proud about the results you guys had on your first showing in the LEC.
It's fine. It's definitely fine. I'm not sad or anything with how we played. I think the series was a lot of fun, even though we lost 3-1, so...
You will go on a break being proud about your performance, hopefully, and I mean, for sure, but you came into the split as a rookie, then you leave Spring Split as one of the top contenders for the LEC title. So what kind of new goals will you have for summer, if you have some?
New goals? For me personally, or as a team?
Oh, you personally? Or as a team, actually, both, yeah.
I mean, so personally, my goal was to be at least like top 3 AD carry by the end of this year, but I think I achieved that in this split.
There you go.
So in next split, I would like to become more consistent, like overall as a team, as an individual. It would be great, and that's it. I think consistency is what we are missing the most.
I mean, when we talk about Mad Lions, we see the potential, we see what you guys did so far, but there's a question about the ceiling, where you can bring this performance, where can you peak? Where do you think you can go here, Carzzy? Can you reach the top and get the title?
I think right now, on our good day, like on our really best day, we can for sure fight with anyone for the top spot, and I think we can defeat anyone. But on a bad day, we can lose to anyone, so that's the bad thing.
Let's bring the positive sides of the Mad Lions for summer then. If we were in an arena, I would ask you to say something for the fans with you, but we're online, so anything you want to say to the chat and the fans watching you from home?
Yeah, definitely. So thank you guys for supporting us. It means a lot to us. We love our Mad fans. And yeah, I love you. And you guys know it because I'm spamming Twitter with it.
Thank you very much, Carzzy, and looking forward to seeing you again in summer on the Rift. Take care. And we're gonna not take a short break, actually. We're gonna go straight back to PGL. Take it away, Shax.
Thank you so much, Laura. Indeed, I like it. I think this isn't a case of, we're going to be super sad. I think they realized that they performed very well and they could have maybe done better. But on the other hand, they're also happy with what they got in just one split of playing with each other, and they're setting new goals for summer.
Yeah, just to echo VODS' sentiment, there's so much personality on that team. I know that Carzzy is one of my favorite new players coming into the LEC, and I absolutely agree with him. I think he proved he's a top 3 ADC in the league, and we have a lot of stacked competition in that role. And Mad Lions are just a super easy team to love. They play super fun League of Legends, they have great personalities on the team, and everyone just wants to see how far they can rise.
Yep, super lovable. Something that I want to kind of touch on too is he said something that remind me so much of things that the G2 players also say. On a good day we can beat anyone, but on a bad day we can lose to anyone. And I did have the distinct feeling that if you would have turned off the nameplates and not told me who was playing, I would have said, well, maybe the other team is, well, maybe the Mad Lions are G2 at some points in this game, because there was just so much chaos at times. And the last takeaway I kind of want to take with that is that I think we three, or most of us, are a fan of the teams that do play that way and don't let themselves be bled out and then lose a game. And it does backfire in, some occasions. But it's a good way to go out, and it's a nice attitude to have when you come into your first playoffs.
I mean, the reality is for Mad Lions is that I think they'll go back and they'll recognize what exactly went wrong, and they're going to learn. And we know that this is a team that can clearly grow, because from beginning of Split to what they're at now is such massive in terms of development and improvement, but they're not the only ones. And we have a lot of rookies in Europe that are constantly improving, and we look at Misfits and the growth that they made, and you just know that you're setting up for a really exciting next Split where a lot of new players are constantly fighting for the top. And G2 and Fnatic, they're not as safe as they used to be. They're not a clear cut above everyone else, and sure, they are both in the final, they are clearly the strongest teams right now, but there are new players and there are new teams clipping at their heels very quickly and rapidly, and I'm excited to see how they can compete in the next play.
Yeah, that's awesome to see. You're not safe anymore. You can't just be that top 2 best teams in Europe and always make it to the final. But in this case, they have, though. It is a G2 versus Fnatic final, one we have seen a couple of times now. So what is different about this time around that G2 and Fnatic are facing, as we get a look at the bracket and how they ended up in their respective spots?
You have Fnatic. You sit down, VODS.
I put my T there. My T is clearly there. Indiana, Oscar, and Mac.
To me, it's on the same time, but we don't have milliseconds. So.
All right, Frost, I will allow you. Please continue with your.
Thank you, Sir VODS. On one hand, you have Fnatic, who are the heavyweight favorites, and I know that we say that there seems to be the gap is shrinking between G2, Fnatic, and everyone else. But as far as Fnatic's standing, they're like, no, the gap still looks pretty big from here, guys. We had a pretty clean run all the way into the finals, and I think the true winner of today's series and kind of all the chaos that it broke down to should be Fnatic. And I think Fnatic fans are probably feeling very vindicated as they look at a G2 that did bleed today.
But whenever G2 and Fnatic play, both teams have a habit of getting dragged down into the mud. And when we think back to last Split, we talk so much about it. It was 2 full-on best-of-5 games, and they were not clean. They were not peak performance League of Legends. They were chaotic. There was fighting everywhere. There were throws left, right, and center. It was some of the most exciting League of Legends that we've ever had in Europe, but it was definitely not high quality. But that's also because of how both these teams approach the game. At the beginning of the day, we talked about how G2 is the type of team that will push, and they will take a little bit more. Oh, they can take a tower, how about they also take an extra wave? Oh, they can take a Drake, how about they also get some deep vision? Fnatic do exactly the same thing. And when both teams are constantly pushing, and they're constantly poking to see, is your defense strong enough here? Will you actually punish me for this? You end up in incredibly chaotic games, but also very tense ones, because both teams are constantly pushed to their limits, and you're always reacting non-stop. So even though Fnatic look clean, they've had a clearer path to the finals, I just think that based on what we've seen every time these two teams play, it will be nothing but close. And while Fnatic is definitely the favorites, I am very excited to see what I will think will be a very competitive series between the two teams.
I 100% agree with you, VODS, everything that you said, but there is one small nitpick that I do just want to poke holes into, and it's this idea that it's not clean, and so therefore it is not great League of Legends. And I understand where the sentiment comes from. We as analysts, we go back, we review the VODs, and you see an incredible series that goes to 5 games. It's super hype, it's super exciting. You're like, but look at this bad decision. Look at this bad decision. And what are they doing right there? But the fact of the matter is when are we eventually going to take a step back and say, the LPL keeps winning, G2 and Fnatic keep dominating, this style of League of Legends has taken over, and finally accept that we do not play League of Legends in a perfect vacuum. What you think, how everything goes, and this matchup must work like this, and if you follow these steps, well, they can't play that composition because of this random thing that will happen at 14 minutes with this, and it's no, the games are imperfect, and what matters is having the players who are smart enough to make those imperfect plays, make miracles out of them. And that's why Fnatic and G2 stand above everyone else. That's why Mad Lions made the run that they did and continue to be an exciting team, because they understand that this is how the game is played right now. So maybe I'm biased. I come from the LPL. I was already bred for it, and now I'm in the LEC. But this is how League of Legends needs to be played right now. And this perfect, in a vacuum, how the comp works. I don't care which draft won at the very beginning. I care how each draft wins, what their win conditions are, and if you can execute on them.
I can't believe what I'm hearing right now, because I'm always screaming, because I'm always in this room when the analysts are talking. They're like, draft won, this game won. First look to this person, they've won the game. It's never changed. And we're always like, but anything can happen, which is also the beauty of the game. And I think is also the beauty of the teams that keep rising above. And it's harder to analyze, I think, especially for you, because when you look at some of these interactions in game 4 or even game 3 and even games 1 and 2, hell, the entire playoffs, you say, why is this working? And sometimes it comes down to these very small discrepancies, which makes that everyone has to be on the top of their game, which is ultimately very, very exciting. I'm going to sign off. Fun thing for tomorrow, in the past 8 splits, either Perks or Caps have taken the title. And if Caps and G2 win the title tomorrow, that will be the 5th consecutive title for Caps. That's crazy, between those two. But on the other hand, there's a Reckless and there's a Fnatic who are looking incredibly poised to take home that trophy as well. Final notes to get us warmed up for that best of 5 tomorrow, Indiana and Andy.
You want it first, Vey?
Sure. I think that tomorrow, on paper, Fnatic are favorites. Like, we can't deny that. But you just know that G2 is the type of team that will bring their A game against a team that they have an insane rivalry against. And last split, it was 5 games back-to-back. I would not be surprised if we got that again. I think the drafts are going to be... They're going to be ridiculous. They're going to be so crazy. I don't think they're predictable at all. And I just want us to get into it. I cannot wait. It's going to be a fantastic final.
Death, taxes, and G2 versus Fnatic. Every single time.
I only want one of those. Like, don't the others stay behind. Anyway, thank you so much for holding down the analyst desk rather with me today. It's been very entertaining and also informative. That's all for it for the LEC today. Tomorrow we'll be back, as said, 3 p.m. Robin Schultz live DJ set to get us all warmed up and just go poggers in chat and all that. Then at 4 p.m. an hour-long ready check with a bunch of content to get you warmed up and in the zone for that best of 5. And then the final moment of our spring split, Fnatic versus G2 in a best of 5 for the LEC title. Ooh, that sounds like an amazing Sunday. I hope you got your snacks ready, that you don't have to move from that couch or in front of that PC for hours tomorrow. That'll be it. We're going to sign off. But across the Atlantic, FlyQuest and Evil Geniuses are fighting for a spot in the spring final. So you can just tune in immediately, I think, in 10 minutes and catch that action.
Go Jizuke!
Yes, go Jizuke. No bias here, but you know, we gotta support our European brethren. Cool stuff. Okay, well, with that, we're going to sign off. Thank you so much for bearing with us today, and hope you were entertained. And we'll see you tomorrow for an amazing, hopefully, but I'm sure of it, LEC Spring Final.